protecting the wrong people, we should not comply.
A man's been caught on camera throwing a Just Stop Oil activist.
Security! Thank you very much. I'm late for work. I'm going to be late today. What do you do?
What's the neighbour? Okay, come this way.
Is it worth more than food? Worth more than justice?
Do you think I like being shouted at? Do you think I like this humiliation?
Wir sind in einer Klimakatastrophe.
Hello everyone, my name is xtian. Welcome back to my tube. And welcome back to another episode of me losing my damn mind. Have you guys seen the Just Stop Oil protests? Per their official website, juststopoil.org, Just Stop Oil is a coalition of groups working together to ensure the government commits to halting new fossil fuel licensing and production. They've been seen in countries all over Europe, especially in the UK, from what I can see at least. And most of their protests involve the stopping of or the slowing down of traffic, defacing famous works of art, and just generally disturbing the peace and being annoying. So I want to talk about them today. Of course I do. You know, give them a little more of that free publicity that they're craving. So let's talk about what it is that they're doing, why it is that they're doing it, and what it is that I think about it. Now, I first heard of the Just Stop Oil protests and activists when those two childlike looking individuals threw soup on Van Gogh's sunflower painting in the National Gallery in London. They literally just hopped right over the little velvet rope, threw what looks to be tomato soup on the painting, while some woman says, "Oh my gosh," in undercase letters. And then they proceeded to glue their hands to the wall. And then edgy pink hair person delivered a very cringy faux intellectual speech about life and the future and our children and blah 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 blah.
What is worth more? Art or life?
Art? I don't know. Is it art? Like, this is so stupid. Like, tell me you have a bad relationship with your parents without telling me you have a bad relationship with your parents. So naturally, this clip kind of blew up, and people all over the world, including little old me in little old Ohio, we're talking about it. And what happens when people post something online that blows up? People start emulating it, and it becomes a trend, essentially. And to be fair, this was not the first of these protests to target a famous work of art. This is just the first one that came up on my radar, you know, that came up on my For You page. Because a few months before this, there were actually two other individuals, I believe, that glued their hands to a frame of a Da Vinci painting and then spray painted "No New Oil" underneath it. At least they didn't spray it on it. But not long after the tomato soup protest in London, two more of these Just Stop Oil activists threw mashed potatoes on a Monet painting in Germany.
Menschen hungern. Menschen frieren. Menschen sterben.
Like, why, you guys? Why? Also, what kind of mashed potatoes do they have over there in Germany? Because that looks like tomato soup. And not long after the mashed potatoes, potato soup, a few more of these activists threw some sort of black liquid into the Trevi fountain. Like, why? Why, you guys? Why? And pretty much all of the press that this organization has received has been negative, of course. And I know that some people say that all press is good press. As Kim Kardashian once said, as long as they're talking about me, honey. But I just don't really see the point in getting all of these people to look at you and talk about you by making them hate you. You know, like making them hate the things that you're doing and the things that you stand for. People are gonna see you, they're gonna hate you, and then they're gonna hate what you're preaching. I remember when the tomato soup thing happened, and I was talking about it with one of my coworkers, and she said something like, "Yeah, but you know, that's what you gotta do to get noticed. Like, here we are talking about it." And I was like, "Yeah, but like, we're not talking about it positively. We're not rooting for them. Like, we're talking about how dumb they are and how annoying they are." Like, here's a little anecdote. Here's a little fun little anecdote. The other day, I was on my way to Chipotle, and I was stopped at a red light when a little man with a little megaphone condemned me to hell for the music that I was listening to, which, by the way, was spicy. by Espa. And playing very loud, I must say, with my windows down, but still. And you know what I thought? Well, I certainly never want to go to that church. When I see these protests, when people see these protests, they don't think, oh my gosh, I want to learn all about them. I want to join their cause. They're not like, oh, I want to be a part of that. Or I'm going to listen to what this person is saying. Like, no, that's not happening. What they're saying is, okay, whatever this person stands for, I'm against, because they just threw paint on a Monet painting at the art gallery. Like, who does that? So even though nobody wants to hear what they have to say, let's hear what they have to say. So referring back to their website, there's a campaign background section, and it says, allowing the extraction of new oil and gas resources in the UK is an obscene and genocidal policy that will kill our children and condemn humanity to oblivion. Okay, but how? How is it going to do that? Surely they're going to tell us, right? It continues. If we continue down our current path, it will destroy families and communities. We will face the starvation and slaughter of billions of the poor and the utter betrayal of our children and their future. Okay, but how? How, you guys? They go on to talk about how the UK government knows all of this, that they continue to produce oil and that it's costing Britain billions of dollars, and that the time to act is right now. And if we don't act now, quote, climate collapse will mean the end of workers' rights, women's rights, all human rights. You guys, what? Literally, I'm laughing because, like, I like how they said women's rights and then all humans' rights. Women are not human. How many times do I have to tell you guys? But once again, how? You can't just make claims like this and then not back it up. Like, they seem to be leaving quite a lot of information out and speaking as if there's just this, like, underlying common knowledge that we all just know about climate change, and that we're all just 100% certain that if we don't stop driving our cars and stop heating our homes, the world will be in ruins in 10 years or 50 years or whenever. The point is, I don't know, okay? Nobody knows. People can speculate all they freaking want about the future based on the climate, but the fact is, they don't know. These activists, they don't know. The experts, they don't know. They can speculate, they have theories, but they don't know. They can't even tell us an accurate 7-day forecast, but we're all just supposed to blindly believe that they know what the weather is going to be like in 200 years. I mean, every summer we hear record highs, and every winter we hear record lows, and it's like, everyone just acts like it's just, oh my gosh, like such a surprise. Like, weather changes. Weather is crazy. Weather is getting more crazy. We know this. So at the end of the page, it says, it is time to put everything aside. We are going into resistance with or without you. Are you a bystander or are you going to rise up? Bystander. Yeah, I'm gonna be a bystander. And then they leave a lovely little link to donate so that they can, I don't know, buy orange vests and glue and soup. Like, do you guys not have jobs? You need money? Is that what this is? Where is this money going? Why do you need money when your protests mostly just involve you holding hands and stopping traffic or throwing paint onto things or not showering and not cutting your hair? Hey, I mean, I'm not one to talk, but literally, why do all of these people look like they don't shower? Like, are we just stopping water too? You guys, is that what's happening? You can tell me. Okay, now I realize that I've been asking why and how a lot in this video, and it would not be fair for me to not acknowledge that, believe it or not, there's literally a section titled Research on their website, and it's basically a little 20-page PDF of all the whys and hows. It's mostly just citing scientific data and hypotheses to prove themselves right, and that's good, you know, like, that's a good thing to have scientific data and research on their website to back up their claims. The only problem is that most of it is not facts. It is speculatory hypotheses and research and theory. It isn't fact, and to be honest, most of this PDF of their evidence is just them saying the government should have done this or they shouldn't have done that, and then like facts like this thing emits this much carbon a year and this thing uses this much energy a year. And honestly, it kind of just feels like they just asked 100 of these activists to pick something to do with climate change that they don't like and tell us how to remedy it and write a paragraph about that, and then they just stuck everybody's paragraph in this PDF. It's an easy read though, just kind of pointless, because most of these claims just refer to scientists' hypotheses about the future. And I'm sorry, but even though I do agree with some of the things that they're saying in this PDF, it's very hard to convince people of a future that they can't see. And not only that, but there's many scientists that do not agree with all of these theories. Some scientists have long been saying that the Earth goes through periods of heating and cooling, and others agreeing with that, but also agreeing that it has been getting increasingly worse recently because of all of the gases that we're emitting into the atmosphere all the time. But interestingly enough, some of these scientists don't even attribute these extreme temperatures that we've been seeing lately to climate change, pointing the finger more towards the ridiculous deforestation issue that we have now, as well as the depletion of natural resources and overconsumption of natural resources. Now, I do personally believe that all of these carbon emissions and greenhouse gases that we're emitting into the atmosphere all the time are not good. Like, they're bad. This is bad. And I do also personally believe that this is contributing to global climate change. But I don't think that trying to pass off scientific theories as facts really gives your argument any credibility. But yeah, that's the Just Stop Oil website in a nutshell. Now, what do I think about all this? To be honest, I do think that some of what they're saying is true. I also think it's very ironic that we are not seeing these protests in the countries that actually have the highest amount of carbon emissions, like China and India and Japan. They don't care. And they're the ones that are mainly causing the problem. It's not the UK, it's not the US. I hate to burst these people's bubble. It's really not the US, believe it or not. The UK is pretty high up there, but not as high as these other countries, and these people and these governments don't care. So maybe you guys should take your little signs and your little bikes and your little paint over to India and try to do that at the Taj Mahal. But no, we're seeing it in countries that have been reducing their carbon emissions, or that actually have a plan to, like France and Germany. Now, I do think that we need to be reducing our carbon emissions. Like, it would be literally amazing for everything to just be solar powered or wind powered, right? We all think this. And yeah, I'm not oblivious to the incredibly hot summers that we've been seeing all over the world lately, and all of the forest fires that we've been seeing recently. In fact, literally today and the past few weeks, the air quality here in Ohio has been so bad because of the forest fires in Canada, and it's so annoying. It's literally so freaking annoying. Like, it's so stupid. So I get it. It's not fun. Okay, I don't like seeing this. I wish that we had much cleaner air as well. But you know what? What's the alternative, you guys? What's the alternative? The PDF on their website mentions a bunch of alternatives, but the problem is money. Isn't it always? They say themselves on their website, the government has invested billions of dollars into this energy source, oil. It would easily take twice as much money to dismantle that and to fund and construct a completely new energy source capable of generating enough power to literally run everybody's car and power every single building in the country, in all of Europe, in the whole world, I'm assuming. Just stopping oil is a lot easier said than done. So hear me out, you guys. I drive a car that runs on gasoline, and I live in an apartment that runs on gas and electric. You can hear it right now because it's so hot. I could not turn off my air conditioning to film today. So why don't I just stop oil? Why don't I just drive a Tesla? And why don't I just install solar panels on my roof? Like maybe, I don't know, 30, 40 of them, get everything hooked up and never have to deal with gas and electric ever again. I'll tell you why. It's because I can't afford to. No one can. Many people, most people, in fact, cannot afford to just stop oil. We are simply stuck. And you know what? It's not our fault. So it makes it very hard to muster up any sort of sympathy or support for all of these people that are making everybody late to work, ruining famous works of art, disturbing the peace, which brings me to my last point, which is that all of this destruction and these juvenile forms of protest really makes this whole movement seem narcissistic. I mean, seriously, why on earth would anybody throw paint or throw soup on a famous painting in a famous museum, if not solely for attention. Nobody is simply looking to advertise their movement with completely good intentions would do that. Unless they're a narcissist. And I can already hear people typing, yeah, it is for attention, and it worked. And yeah, it did work, but it's still narcissistic. I mean, we all have causes and things that we believe in and that we're passionate about and that we want people to know and hear. And we don't do this. It takes a very special individual to think that they should hold up traffic, make a bunch of people late to work or wherever they need to be going just to make people visit your website, essentially. Another thing that just screams narcissism is that despite claiming over and over again that life is so important and that nothing on this planet is more important than life, with all these slowing down and stopping of traffic protests, what if somebody is in labor? I mean, what if somebody needs to go to the hospital? What if there's an ambulance that needs to get through? What if there's a armed robbery and the police can't get through? What if anybody needs medical attention? Or there's an emergency and somebody needs to get to their loved one? I don't know. I could go on. I saw a comment that said something like, well, I hope there's no ambulance that needs to get through because that person's already dead. And like, yeah, they're right. It makes me incredibly angry, and that is why I cannot take these people seriously. And I'd be willing to bet, on top of all that, that all, if not most, of these white savior protesters are very, very, very pro-choice. So it's a bit funny to hear them try to convince me of how important they think life is. Like, consistency? Where's the consistency? I can't see it. Do you think life is the most important thing, or do you not? I just don't see any consistency in your beliefs. Obviously, I'm assuming that about these people, and I don't know that about any of them, but... And it's like, literally believe anything you want to believe. I don't have a problem with anyone's belief of anything, but make it consistent. It's just so obvious that you guys don't care about others. You don't care that people have jobs that they need to get to. You don't care that people are just trying to appreciate and enjoy art or just enjoy their freaking day. You only care about getting on the news and making a fuss. And are you not embarrassed? Like, you should literally be embarrassed. You claim to be standing up to corporate greed and to the government and to big oil, but the irony is that none of this is at the expense of those corporations or of the government. It's at the expense of these museums, of these cities, of artists from hundreds of years ago that we still admire today. And it's at the expense of me and you. The even more ironic thing is that driving slow burns more fuel. And they're continuously forcing other people to drive slow as a means of protest. So it's like, this is just blatant narcissism. These people are just so desperate for attention and for a sense of purpose that they don't even understand what they're fighting for or the scale of destruction and harm that they're causing in the process. I saw one video of these protesters in Italy where they literally glued their hands to the road, blocked traffic up for miles. Everybody was stuck. People were getting out of their cars and yelling at them. And I believe it was the police that came and ripped their hands up off of the pavement. And these people were all screaming and crying and freaking out. And it's like, what did you expect to happen? Like, why on earth would you do that to yourself? For any cause. Like, you can't guarantee that climate change is going to cause you any physical harm in the future. But you can guarantee physical harm if you glue your freaking hand to the road. These are all just very poorly thought out, blatant displays of ignorance and narcissism. And unfortunately, I don't see it getting any better from here. I don't gooch. I dare any of these European activists to go and try this in LA or in Detroit, Chicago, Dallas, New York. Oh my God, try to do the traffic thing in New York. Like, New York would be so bad. Like, try to hold hands and stop traffic on the freeway in New York City. I don't think that they would necessarily get killed, but I think it would take probably less than like 2 minutes in any city here for people to get out of their cars and take these people and tie them to a tree. They could also just run them over. I don't know. We're wild over here, aren't we, Gooby? We're freaking wild. But on that happy note, that's all I've got for you guys today. My question for you today is, I have 2 questions. 1, is all press good press, do you think? And 2, what is your opinion, not on climate change in general, but on these Just Stop Oil protests? Because I genuinely find this organization to be rooted in narcissism and ignorance and the need for these people to fancy themselves as heroes for standing up to big oil, when in reality, all they do when they show up is make everybody's day a little bit more annoying. But that's all I got for you guys today. You have anything you want to say? Oh my god, I didn't use my microphone. Oh well. Well, I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you all very soon, okay? Bye-bye!